Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Aparna, working as scientist in MFPI Quality Control Laboratory, Professor Jayashankar, Telangana State Agricultural University, Hyderabad. Today, under the module Food Technology, in Food Chemistry, we are going to look into the first chapter, that is Introduction to Major Constituents of Foods. Now, these food constituents are the substances which provides nourishment and energy, and they are very essential for us to maintain the life and for growth also. The food constituents, they are classified into major groups and also minor groups. But as I said, today we are going to learn only about the major constituents of the foods. So we will be looking into the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, fiber and water. The first one is carbohydrates. These carbohydrates are the chief sources of energy in our diet, and they are the chemical compounds which contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. They also provide instant energy to our body. They act as fuel to our body, and we have different sources of carbohydrates like rice, wheat, barley, tubers, sugar, sugarcane, jaggery, etc. All these carbohydrates are classified again into two categories, that is starch and sugars. Now, coming to the first component, that is the starches, they are the ones which are found in grains, legumes and tubers, while sugar is found in the fruits, jaggery, etc. Now, these carbohydrates, they are used by the body to serve or to give energy to the body. Each gram of carbohydrate which is burnt gives us 4 kilocalories of energy to perform work and different activities required for us. And these carbohydrates, once they are digested and they get absorbed into the cells in the form of glucose. And after absorption in the small intestine, the glucose is processed in the liver and it is stored to some extent in glycogen, which is a starch-like substance, and the remaining of the sugar or the glucose is passed into the bloodstream and serves as a source of energy. Glucose can form into triglycerides also, which are fat components, and they can be used as source of fuel in some times during the time of energy requirement. In fact, these triglycerides can be broken down into different components like ketones. And the glucose is carried by the bloodstream to the muscles and organs, and it is oxidized, and the excess quantities are stored as fats. Coming to the second component, that is proteins. Now, proteins are made up of different kinds of amino acids. The amino acids are called as building blocks of proteins, and the proteins are formed by different combinations of 20 basic amino acids which are found in different kinds of food sources. These amino acids and proteins, they contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and apart from carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, they also contain nitrogen. The carbohydrates and fats, they contain only carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, whereas protein has an excess component which is nitrogen. And some proteins, they contain different kinds of elements like phosphorus, sulfur, iron, etc. And these proteins, they are categorized again as animal proteins and plant proteins. As the name indicates, animal proteins are the substances which are derived from animal sources like eggs, milk, meat, fish, etc. Then we have the second category among this, which are called as vegetable proteins. And these vegetable proteins are derived from plant sources like pulses, legumes, soya beans, nuts like cashew nuts, almonds, groundnuts, etc. Animal proteins are considered to be better than vegetable proteins as they are more easily digested and they are absorbed by the body. Apart from that, the animal proteins are also termed as high biological value protein because the protein content present in the animal protein is far superior than the plant proteins. However, being in a country like India where majority of them are vegetarians who do not consume the animal proteins, plant proteins also in different combination can serve as very good source of protein. Coming to the requirement of protein, every individual or human requires 1 gram of protein per kg body weight. For example, assume that an individual's weight is 50 kgs. Then the requirement would be 1 gram per kg body weight, which is 50 grams of protein required per day for an individual for 50 kgs of body weight. This is how the protein content or the protein requirement is calculated for an individual. Now coming to the calorific value of the protein also when burnt gives 4 kilocalories per every gram of protein consumed or burnt. Protein also helps in repairing the damaged body tissues, and they can be utilized to provide energy also in cases where an individual is starving. So during times of starvation, protein also serves as source of energy apart from helping in repairing the damaged body tissues. The primary functions of protein include building and repairing the body tissues, regulating the body processes, and also for formation of enzymes, hormones, and insulin, etc., which regulate the communication among the organs and cells in the human body. Then coming to the animal and plant proteins, they are not used in the form they are ingested, but they are broken down by the digestive enzymes called as pepsin, and the complex proteins consumed either from animal sources or plant sources are broken down into smaller components called as amino acids, and these amino acids are easily absorbed in the body through the intestine. The digested amino acids are used in the body in various functions and in various requirements as required by the body. The protein also aids in formation of antibodies which enable the body to fight the infection. Protein also serves as a major energy supplier. There are different kinds of proteins which has unique function for itself. For example, proteins form a major part of the human body. Like for example, apart from water, which is almost 80% in the human body, protein is the next major component in the human body. Then you have the enzymes, which are chemical substances which takes part in various chemical reactions, and these enzymes are chemically made up of proteins. For example, you have the salivary amylase, which is an enzyme which is produced by the salivary glands, but it is a protein source, and the function of it will be to break down the starch into sugar. The composition of proteins in the body is: muscle contains 1/3 of the protein, bones contain 1/5 of the protein, skin contains 1/10 of the protein. So the major constituents are muscle, bones, and skin. The rest of the proteins is used in other tissues, fluids, etc. In fact, even the blood contains a lot of protein. In fact, hemoglobin molecule is composed of protein. And our body requires a lot of protein for maintenance and also for healthy growth. There is a continuous breakdown of protein in the body for maintaining, for repairing the human tissues on a regular and day-to-day basis. So after seeing the carbohydrates and after learning about the proteins, we will now move forward to fats. Now fats are again a very major and important constituent in the food. Now fats are almost similar in composition to that of carbohydrates. They also contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. However, compared to carbohydrates, fat contain lesser amount of oxygen, and that is the reason they produce more amount of calories. Now fats, if we see, again they are classified as animal fats and vegetable fats, depending on the source of where they are being procured from. Now coming to the animal fats, we have fats like butter, ghee, etc., which come from the animal sources. Apart from butter, ghee, we also have milk, fish, etc., which are all coming directly from an animal source. Coming to the fat sources from plants, we have different kinds of oils like groundnut oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, mustard oil, sesame oil, etc. They are all the sources of fat which are available from plant sources. Now, whether it is an animal source fat or a plant source fat, each gram of fat when burnt gives 9 kilocalories. A major part of food we eat is used to derive energy to perform various day-to-day activities. A small part of the remaining food is always converted into fat, and it is stored in the human body. fats. Thus, they constitute as energy bank in the body, which will be utilized when the body requires energy. For example, during times of starvation or whenever the need arises. Now coming to the fat, it is mainly stored under the skin and it protects the human individuals, and it also protects the internal organs like heart, etc. from the jerks or from the shocks. And fats, they also help in absorption of fat soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E and K. And fats, they also have another very important task to be achieved, that is, they serve as a source of taste in the food material. And the fats, when they are consumed, they are broken down into fatty acids and they will pass into the blood in the form of triglycerides or triacyl glycerols. The fatty acids which contain many hydrogen atoms, they are termed as saturated fats, and these saturated fats are derived mostly from the animal fats like butter, ghee, etc. Then you have the second category after the saturated fats, that is unsaturated fats. The unsaturated fatty acids are those which have got very little amount of hydrogen atoms and they are derived mostly from vegetable sources of fats. In this, you have monounsaturated fatty acids which have got a single pair of hydrogen which is missing. Then we have polyunsaturated fatty acids which have more than one hydrogen missing in the triacyl glycerol chain. Then the polyunsaturated fats, these are the ones which are mostly present in the oil seeds and the oils which are derived from the oil seeds, like for example the sunflower oil, mustard oil, sesame oil, etc. Now the saturated fats in the blood streams, they are always found to increase the blood levels of triglycerides. Apart from that, they will also elevate the levels of cholesterol and they will tend to lead to different kinds of degenerative disorders like cardiovascular diseases, etc. And therefore, the consumption of fats have to be done in a very judicious way. It is said that the required dietary amount of fats per day will be somewhere between 20 to 30 depending on the individual's age, sex and the kind of activity which they keep doing. So now we have learnt about carbohydrates, we have learnt about proteins, we have learnt about fats. Now let us go to the next component, that is vitamins. So after carbohydrates, proteins and fats, we have vitamins. These vitamins are organic compounds which always enhance the metabolism of proteins, carbohydrates as well as fats. Without vitamins, the breakdown of food cannot occur at all. And certain vitamins are much more important because they are essential in formation of blood cells, nervous system chemicals, genetic materials, etc. And they are classified into two categories, that is fat soluble vitamins and water soluble vitamins. As the name indicates, fat soluble vitamins are the ones which are absorbed only in presence of fat. And in this category, we have four kinds of vitamins, that is vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D and vitamin K. The fats usually are absorbed in presence of fat and later on after ingestion of the fat, they are broken down with the help of bile and then they are emulsified molecules. They will pass through the different kinds of membranes, the lymphatic tissues, the veins, the blood vessels, and they will be distributed throughout the body through the arteries. And always only the required amount of fat will be utilized and excess amount of fat is always stored in the liver and the remaining amount is stored underneath the skin. Now coming to the fat soluble vitamins, we have vitamin A as the first fat soluble vitamin, which is again very essential for health of different kinds of epithelial cells and also for the normal growth of the human body. The deficiency of vitamin A, it will lead to different kinds of problems like skin disorders, dry skin, night blindness, etc. and failure of dark adoption due to the effects of deficiency of retina which is present in the eye, which indicates that vitamin A is very essential for eye health. It can be obtained from different kinds of foods like milk, eggs, liver, which are all the fat sources. Apart from the fat sources of vitamin A, we also have very good plant sources where we can get good amount of vitamin A, like the colored foods like carrots, beetroots, etc. The yellow, green and red and orange colored foods are all rich in vitamin A, which upon consumption will give good amount of vitamin A. Then coming to the next fat soluble vitamin, that is vitamin D. Vitamin D is again gaining a lot of importance these days because every disease is nowadays linked to the deficiency of vitamin D. Vitamin D, it acts as a hormone and it regulates the calcium and phosphorus absorption as well as the metabolism of calcium and phosphorus. Some amount of vitamin D is obtained from fish, eggs, liver, butter, margarine, milk, etc. But most of the humans should get their vitamin D from the direct exposure to sunlight. It is called as deficiency of sunlight. Its deficiency can lead to different kinds of disorders like rickets in children, osteomalacia, osteoporosis, etc. in adults. Apart from that, all the degenerative disorders nowadays like diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, some kinds of cancers like skin cancer, etc. are also linked to deficiency of vitamin D, and therefore vitamin D studies are gaining a lot of importance these days. Let us now move forward for the next vitamin under the fat soluble vitamins, that is vitamin E. Now vitamin E is very essential again for all the vertebrate animals. It has got a very prominent role in the human body and the role is precisely not established. There is not very clear evidence which is existent and which tells that the vitamin E is required for so and so disorder. However, it is very important because there are some kinds of reproductive problems associated with vitamin E deficiencies also. Now coming to the sources of vitamin E, we have lots of sources like seed oils, wheat germ, the wheat bran, etc. are all rich in vitamin E. So in fat soluble vitamins, after vitamin A, D and E, we have the last vitamin, that is vitamin K. Now coming to vitamin K, it is again very essential vitamin and it is very important and has a very prominent role in coagulation of blood or blood coagulation. Now this vitamin K, it always assists in formation of enzyme called as prothrombin, which in turn is required or essential to produce fibrin for the blood cells. With the presence of prothrombin and fibrin only, the blood clotting takes place. And vitamin K is produced sufficiently in the intestine by the human gut intestinal bacteria which is present, and this bacteria can be enhanced or can be promoted by providing vitamin E rich foods like green leafy vegetables like spinach, etc. Then egg yolk also is very good source of vitamin K. So these are the 4 vitamins which come under the fat soluble vitamin category, that is vitamin A, D, E and K. Then we have the water soluble vitamins. Here also, as the name indicates, these are all the vitamins which are easily soluble in water. In this you have vitamin C and all the B complex vitamins. Coming to vitamin C, this is a very essential vitamin and it cannot be stored in the human body, but it has to be consumed on a daily basis to replenish the body's requirements on a day-to-day basis. Vitamin C is very important in maintenance and synthesis of connective tissues, and it also prevents deficiency disorders like scurvy, etc. Coming to the rich sources of vitamin C, you have all the citrus fruits which are good sources of vitamin C. Then you have the vitamin B complex. These are a set of vitamins which are known as vitamin B1, it is thiamine. Then you have vitamin B2, it is riboflavin. You have nicotinic acid or niacin. Then you have the pyridoxine, which is termed as vitamin B6. You have pantothenic acid, you have lecithin, choline, inositol, para-amino-benzoic acid, folic acid and cyanocobalamin, which is also termed as vitamin B12. All this set of vitamins, they are totally in toto called as vitamin B complex. These vitamins have their role in different kinds of metabolic activities, and they also prevent different kinds of deficiency disorders. Let us go to the next one, that is the minerals. Coming to minerals, these are again very essential nutrients, and these minerals are inorganic constituents which are present and which are required by the human body, and they are very important to form the structural components of both hard tissue which is present in the body as well as the soft body tissues, which are again important. Apart from that, the minerals, they also participate in different kinds of processes like for promotion of action of enzymes, contraction of muscles, contraction of nervous tissues and nervous tissue reactions, clotting of blood, etc. Apart from that, minerals are all the nutrients which are very important, and they should be supplied in the diet in required amount, failing which there can be different kinds of mineral deficiency disorders. Now in these minerals, again you have the major minerals which are calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, iodine, potassium, etc. Then you have the trace elements. They are copper, cobalt, manganese, fluorine and zinc. Calcium is required in good quantity because it is needed for muscle, heart, digestive system, and to build up the bone tissue, support the synthesis and function of the blood cells, etc. You have very good dietary sources of calcium like ragi, milk. Then you have some kinds of fish when consumed with the bones. Small fish when consumed with the bones again serve as a good source of calcium. Then you have phosphorus. It is again a very important component of bones and energy processing. Apart from that, it also has got many other functions in biological context. And this phosphorus, when combined with calcium, they lead to formation of very good bones and very good teeth. And phosphorus also plays an important role in energy metabolism in all the cells. Then we have the next mineral, that is magnesium, and this magnesium is required for processing the human metabolism and for maintaining the electrical potential, and also for maintaining the electric potential for nerves and muscle cells, etc. The deficiency of magnesium can result in malnourishment, especially in alcoholics, and that itself can lead to different kinds of problems like tremors, convulsions, etc. Then sodium again is a very important electrolyte which is present in the extracellular fluid. It plays a very important role in regulation of the body tissues, body chemicals, etc. And excess amount of sodium can cause edema, which is water retention. Then coming to the next one, that is iron, which is required again for different kinds of proteins and enzymatic activity and for formation of hemoglobin, etc. You have different kinds of sources like red meat, leafy vegetables, then the eggs, the fish, dried fruits, then beans, etc., which are all rich in iron. Then you have iodine again, which is very important because it is essential in synthesis of a hormone which is present in the thyroid gland. The hormone is called as thyroid hormone. And the deficiency of iodine can lead to different kinds of problems like goiter, exophthalmic goiter, etc. Now apart from these, you have some kinds of trace elements which are inorganic, but they require in very small quantity, just like iodine also is a trace element which is required for the entire lifetime, or just a spoonful of iodine is required. But then on a day-to-day basis, you have several such kind of minerals which are required in small and micro quantities, and they are associated with different kinds of health and different kinds of metabolic activities in the human body. Then you have the next component, that is fiber. Now coming to fiber, these fiber is again very important. Nowadays consumption of fiber is gaining a lot of importance, and it is being linked again to different kinds of degenerative disorders. Fiber is nothing but the cell wall material of all the plant cells, and it is made up of celluloses. And cellulose cannot be digested by our digestive system. And although the cellulose does not have any nutritive value for us, it is required in the diet for different kinds of functioning in the digestive system. The cellulose forms fiber content of our diet, and it is also referred to as roughage which is present in the body. Then the consumption of the fiber, it allows efficient movement of the food in the alimentary canal, especially in the large intestine, and consumption of good amount of fiber can reduce problems like constipation, etc. Then coming to the sources of the fiber, all the raw green leafy vegetables or vegetables which can be consumed as salads, the fruits and vegetables are very good sources of fiber. Apart from them, you have the whole cereals, whole legumes, whole pulses, etc. When consumed as whole components, they are again very good sources of fiber. Then we have water, which is the last component, and water, it forms almost 70 to 80% of our entire body weight, and water is again a very important constituent of all the body cells. Water is required for all the biological processes in our body. By weight, water contains or constitutes almost 2/3 of the weight of the human body, and it does not only maintain the temperature of the body, but also it helps or aids in removal of all the waste or the toxic material which is produced in the body. In this way, water is very essential component, and it is a very important or a core component of a balanced diet. Although water does not produce any amount of energy, it is essential because it is, though not a nutrient giving substances, it is also termed as a nutrient which is essential because it aids in performance of various kinds of functions in the body. Now these are all the constituents which are present in our food. Now coming to summarize the entire topic, we were talking about the major constituents, that is the carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Now in carbohydrates we have starches and sugars, and proteins, as I said, there are 20 different amino acids which form a whole complex of proteins, and these amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Then coming to the fats, you have three categories here, like saturated fats and unsaturated fats. In unsaturated fats you have monounsaturated, polyunsaturated fatty acids. Then we have learnt about vitamins very briefly. They are categorized into fat soluble vitamins and water soluble vitamins. Then we have minerals again, which are very important. And finally, though less important, water is again a very important constituent of our diet. Thank you.